everyone to another edition of Naturally Inspired Community Spotlights, where we bring health, education, wellness, and awareness to the community and to the public. My guest today is Charles Vest. Thank you so much for joining us today. Charles Vest is a public speaker, a business development leader, and industry pioneer. He's a visionary for the CBD industry starting in 2012, so quite some time ago. He has created sales training platforms within the marketing industry. He's a best-selling author and public speaker, as I have already said. And then he has been recently added to the Napoleon Hill Foundation of Speakers. And then for 9 years, he has been working to advocate for the CBD and hemp industry. Today, we are going to talk to you about hand sanitizer. So
yes.
Welcome, Charles. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much, Tasha, for having me. It is my honor to be here. And my bio reads like all I do is CBD, but it was a pretty important part of my life for the last 9 years until this situation hit. And once it hit, then my focus has switched dramatically to keeping people safe in another respect rather than what people are putting in their body and what they're ingesting. Now it's what they're putting on their body and on the services that they work with.
Yeah, and so today, what we mostly want to focus on is bringing an awareness to the public about not just overuse of hand sanitizer, overuse of sanitation, and what the potential risk could be in the future, but also to explain some of the FDA recall on alcohol-based hand sanitizer. More and more we're seeing in the news contamination with different types of alcohol. We're seeing alcohol content as high as 90%, 95%, whereas before it was 70% or less. And so can you speak a little bit about some of the recalls that we're seeing and why that is a danger, a potential threat to our livelihood and to our safety, especially to children as we're all headed back to school?
Absolutely. Thanks for asking. You know, every day, it seems like at least every couple days, the FDA puts out another 100 hand sanitizers, another 100. And it just makes you wonder, why is that happening? Why isn't there enough controls to for manufacturers to make a product that doesn't need to be recalled? And the reason is because the world is really trying to take advantage of the pandemic and things that are happening. And so everyone is doing whatever they can in a lot of respects to make a few dollars in the hand sanitization market. Mm-hmm. Well, some of those protocols are not too safe, especially for our kids. I mean, if I told you that I'm going to make a hand sanitizer that's $2 a bottle, and the only problem is it has methanol in it, but you can also get a bottle of a water-based product that is completely safe and has none of those bad toxins, would you pay an extra $1 for that bottle that you knew didn't have methanol, chlorine, alcohol, and other things in it, and still did the same thing? I'm pretty sure the answer is yes.
Part of it is that, the general public is not educated on what these different types of alcohols are and
yes.
the potential harm that they are able to do to us, especially if we're using them repeatedly.
Yes.
Can you explain kind of the chemicals that go into it, especially, what is it, the salt chloride about?
Oh, BZK.
Yes,
yeah.
BZK, yeah.
Absolutely. All right, so I am not a scientist, and I do not try to play one on TV either. However, there are a few things that I have learned in my 9 months of really digging into the science and really the chemistry of our products. And there is let's talk about the bad compounds first. The reason why we should be very concerned as a community, as parents, as as teachers, as folks that are, going into an environment where you're literally putting hand sanitizer on 10, 15 times a day because you're trying to keep yourself and your family safe. But the challenge is that it started with something in the realm of 65% alcohol was the FDA recommended amount of alcohol in your percent of alcohol. Well, as far as proof is concerned, I don't mean proof as in the truth. I mean proof as in alcohol proof. If you have 60% alcohol, that means that's 120 proof alcohol that you're putting on your 60, two hands, 120, okay? And if you have, now they're saying they want 80, 85%. And that's a whole other discussion as to why we would need to continually get higher and higher amounts of alcohol. Why doesn't the small amount work is a good question you might ask. But one of the reasons is because they have a higher percentage of alcohol to negate some of the other chemicals that have been put in the hand sanitizer. So it's really not for us, it's for our benefit. It's to get rid of some of the bad things that are there. So what's bad about hand sanitizers and some of the other surface cleaners and wipes and things like that? Well, if we're talking, let's just round it off to 75% alcohol. That's 150 proof alcohol that we're putting on our largest organ of our body, our skin. And then we're doing it again and again. And we're being recommended to do this on a constant basis. If you work in a preschool and you have these, I just call them snotty-nosed kids running around all the time, you're constantly, wiping your hands and wiping theirs and wiping yours and wiping theirs. It could literally be 50 to 100 times a day that you're putting 150 proof alcohol on your largest organ of your body, your skin. It's being absorbed. And there's been many tests, including one that I can recall that was in Texas, where actually it showed that 35% of alcohol poisoning in kids came from alcohol ingestion at schools, at preschools. And so that's just our kids that don't know any better. And then there's others, and I'll end with this, there's others that are older that know better, but there's this whole industry of folks that want alcohol for whatever reason in their bodies.
Yes, and I taught 8th grade for a many years.
Yes.
You can't imagine the things that they tell you that they're ingesting in order to get drunk or high. It's a real danger.
Absolutely right. And so when they're developing brains realize that they don't have to go to the liquor store to get 150 proof alcohol, they're willing to take the risk in a lot of cases. And so I would want to eliminate all of that from being anywhere within reach of any of my children, no matter what age they are, including adults. And so that's kind of the bad side. There's other things like, I think it's real important to kind of talk about what methanol comes from. And the reason why we have this recall is the number one ingredient that they're looking for is methanol. And what happened is when the fuel and gas industry lost all that business, the airlines, stopped flying, there's all this fuel laying around. Well, the oil and gas industry started filtering their fuel, filtering the methanol out to provide alcohol for these hand sanitizer companies because everybody was looking for hand sanitizer. So you can imagine they saw a great opportunity to provide a worldwide need. Only problem is they weren't able to filter 100% of the methanol out of many of their product. And so when products got tested, there's 1%, there's 2% methanol, and that's what the FDA is finding out through their testing, their random testing, that there's a bunch of products that say that they are just alcohol without any other chemicals, but in testing, it's not so true.
Yeah, and again, that's why speaking with people like you is really important and educating people, because again, you're not just putting those on once a day, multiple times a day. Now there's different dangers. Now we have a situation where a chemical has been repurposed. As you were speaking, I was thinking about petroleum jelly, right? So petroleum jelly is a byproduct, of the petrol creation process. And then it's like a gooey, jelly, slimy substance that they were like, let's repurpose this as a beauty moisturizer
Yeah, go
for
figure.
people. I just, and so that seems to be a situation of similarity where we have all of this extra stuff laying around. We need to make money from it. Why don't we put it or repurpose it for this other thing that is a consumable, right? A daily use consumable.
Yeah, what
So,
harm could it cause, right? Just it's
right.
better to put it on our bodies than to maybe drop it in the ocean or where they were storing it. So,
Yeah. Yeah,
they
exactly.
call that recycling. But think about the fact that when a student, let's just take your fifth grader, is doing, and their parents have given them a bottle of hand sanitizer, and they told their kid, you need to, every time you touch a friend or you touch your desk or you go and you shake hands or elbow bump or whatever, constantly put this 150 proof alcohol on your hands. Now, what's going to happen? And I'm only just guessing at what's going to happen in the future, is somebody is going to test positive for alcohol and a random alcohol test, the
Mm-hmm.
sobriety test, or just a test for going for surgery, and they're going to ask the parent, why does your kid have lethal amounts practically of alcohol? And they won't know that it was because their kid was using hand sanitizer constantly. And so that is why in the hospitals now, many hospitals are now making sure that that all their hand sanitizers are alcohol free. And so that's the problem and the solution that we help with. The problem is, well, okay, great. You've convinced me, Charles. I don't want alcohol in my hand sanitizer or in my cleaning supply. What's the solution? And the solution is that acronym that you gave, the chemical BZK. BZK, which stands for a benzalkonium chloride. I know, just call it BZK.
It's a
It's
mouthful to say. I
yeah,
was looking at it, I
it
was
is
like,
awful. But it's been around for 80 years. And really, the way that I describe it is a non-toxic, alcohol-free solution that is the same solution, FDA-approved active ingredient that is in eye drops, so they don't burn and still can clean your eyes, and baby wipes. So if it's good enough for baby wipes, I mean, when I actually Googled it for the first time, those are the two products that came up: baby wipes and eye drops. So that's got to be safe. So BZK is a great solution. It is more expensive to work with. It's harder to find. Anything that is better for you, unfortunately, in this world usually costs a few percentage points more. But in this case, it's absolutely worth it. And so our hand sanitizer that uses the FDA-approved active ingredient of BZK, and along with other mechanisms that we could talk about and how we destroy germs and microbes, but that's the main ingredient.
okay. So that was a perfect lead into gland health. So can you explain gland health? Because now we
Mhm.
know who Charles Vest is, but can you explain gland health and how
Yes.
you're related to it?
Well, Gland Health is a subsidiary of Delrada Health, but more importantly, Gland Health is a company that was created to help solve a lot of problems out there. And what rose its head up and grew very quickly is this need to be in a clean, sanitized, deodorized environment. And so we were already working on different ways to help hospitals, restaurants, hospitality. We were already working on ways to help deodorize and sanitize those environments. We were already working on hand sanitizers for global need. And so it was an easy transition for us to move into being a solution provider for having an alternative. We didn't realize how big it would be, but just to make an alternative. Some people want a better, cleaner product for their environments. And so we created our Gland Health deodorizing process. We would go into homes and commercial institutions and deodorize, clean, sanitize with hand sanitize, lots of different ways. And so Gland Health found out that that was a need that needed to be filled. And so I came on board to help market that need, because like you said, many people don't know that there is an alternative to that alcohol-based products.
Yes,
And so
exactly.
that's where I come in. And I'm very, very honored that you would have me here to talk a little bit about Gland Health. And if you want more information, you can just go to the website. It's very easily spelled. You know, I know you're going to ask me later, but it's just Gland Health, GLANHEALTH.com. And you'll see plenty of videos and lots of cool things that we're doing.
Yeah, and I think that you brought up an important point of people don't know that there's an alternative. I mean, I remember when, COVID first started and, hand sanitizer ran out. So people were finding some not safe alternatives.
You know what they were doing? They were making it in their bathrooms, in their kitchens.
Yes. Yes. People
And
were.
the person down the street that had a brewery that had to shut down their bar, all of a sudden was providing hand sanitizer.
Right.
Like, hey.
Yes. And I remember also going to the grocery store and, I don't drink alcohol, but I remember passing by the aisle and the aisle was empty and there was a person stocking and I said, are people already stocking up? And they're like, oh no, they're making hand sanitizer out of tequila and whiskey.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I can't imagine what other types of things. And I was just thinking to myself, there has to be a much safer alternative than even that. There really does. And so, whenever I learned about Gland Health, I immediately, I read the article, I looked at the website, and I thought, this is that safer alternative, especially for schools where they have to sanitize multiple times throughout the day. And then there has to be a deep clean at night, and they're using chemicals on top of chemicals on top of chemicals. Yes, they have an approved list, but what happens whenever you really start mixing all of those chemicals together? What is the reaction? Again, it brings up a point that, yes, we need alternatives, but we need to be educated on safer alternatives.
Absolutely.
We shouldn't just be randomly coming up with things. And so,
sometimes
so how has the market responded to this alternative solution that you all have come up with?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that question. I'm sorry for the interruption. There's a little bit of a delay. Sometimes the solution is more harmful than the problem itself in many cases. And so when we saw this global pandemic, and the first scenes that we saw were, people with hazmat suits spraying down walls and concrete and people and all that. And you ask yourself, well, that's worth it if they're, killing germs and that stuff. But now we've learned that they were using hydrogen peroxide, steam and extreme heat, bleach, chlorine, all these different items that, yes, got the job done.
What?
Oh, absolutely. Those are the chemicals. Those are the most common chemicals used. These are not just some random chemicals I've thought of. These are the most common chemicals, especially when you see them with the high power hose. That's a hydrogen peroxide type of, most likely hydrogen peroxide, and if you put your hand in hydrogen peroxide, you kind of know what would happen to it.
Right.
Put it in hydrogen peroxide. So yeah, you can kill germs, but you also cause a lot of other challenges. So with that, Gland Health came up with a water-based, it's kind of like in paint, you have oil-based and water-based, and the difference is in the environment. Right at the end of the day, the difference is how are you affecting the environment that paint is going on, oil versus water. We all know now that water is the standard water-based paint. But there was a time when someone said, "Oh, why don't you try a water-based paint?" And you're like, "No, oil's better." And that's the mindset that we have right now of bleach and chlorine, hydrogen peroxide. Everyone's using it, so it must be better. No, the world is going to come to a really fast conclusion that yes, we want to kill germs and microbes, but there is a way for us to do it in a much safer, much more environmentally friendly, and much more people-friendly way. And that's why we're so busy today and getting busier every day. Not only do we kill those germs and microbes, but the way that we do it for schools is really making us popular in the school districts, because we actually have a 28-day test for how long our product lasts on surfaces. 28 days. Now, I'm not saying you use our product and then you just let kids, wipe and do their thing, but there are a lot of areas that, you're not going to wipe down, and we're actually going to use our technology, which is a magnetized type of technology, to get those surfaces. And when that kid does go to the press and actually puts his hand on the press, it could be 2 weeks after it was treated, and there's still a very good chance that any germs or microbes are going to be destroyed at that point without you having to go in there and wipe this thing that hasn't been wiped for weeks down over and over and over. And so I hope that you're getting as excited as I am. I get really excited because kids are my passion. I have 4 of them myself, and I just don't believe that we are really looking at what's the best thing for our children. I mean, we're sending them to school. First of all, we know that's a challenge, but there is a solution. So if you can let your teachers know, the school districts know, just ask them, have you tried a non-toxic solution? Have you tried a non-alcohol solution for the kids? They'll find us.
Yeah, PTOs, PTAs, organize, get Gland Health products. Even as I'm hearing you speak, I'm thinking about now, instead of using hand sanitizing wipes, which of course is ending up in the landfills and cost money, grocery stores now have a solution that they spray all over the carts to sanitize them. And then I'm sure everyone has seen on the news the spraying of the airlines, right? They have it. And think about this. The person who's applying the spray is wearing a hazmat suit, and they're spraying down the airplane with this stuff, right? So that person is exposed multiple times a day to that stuff. So even though you're just taking one flight, what if you're one of these frequent flyers, right? So that person being exposed multiple times a day is covering themselves. Think about if you are a frequent flyer and you also still are exposed to it multiple times within a week even, right? And so, again, I think that speaking about these healthy alternatives is really important. Do you guys have any new products coming out? Because we just have a few minutes left, so we can go ahead and finish with that.
Well, hand sanitizer is like the holy grail of the sanitization world right now. But we also have body sprays, we have soap, we have laundry aid products that actually helps protect your clothes. The same way that we're protecting hard surfaces, we're actually able to protect your clothes too with the laundry aid product, kind of like your fabric softener. So that's something that we thought would be real important to know. And then also we have our own hand wipes and our own body wipes and surface wipes. But for the last few seconds, I just want to talk about this. There's a lot of folks that are now the biggest industry right now is the real estate industry. And everyone's going from one house to another. They're upgrading because interest rates are low and all that. But I ask you this question, Tasha: if you were moving into a new house, would you be concerned about germs and microbes, different things? You wouldn't want to breathe in the old people's germs or whatever they left behind. And so that's where we really kind of come in, because we come in and we can completely deodorize, clean, use the sanitizer, all that stuff for a house, but you can walk into a clean environment. And we have an array of products for that, including we have a spray solution as well that will come in, spray the place down, but we actually use our water-based solution so that you don't become a chemical petri dish by the end of the day with all these different chemicals. BZK and water-based ammonium and those things that you actually kind of know what they do are in our products. And so that's the main thing that I get excited about. Going into schools is really exciting. We also have a non-flammable, non-corrosive product. Another thing to think about. People are very concerned about the electronics. You go into a school, they're going to spray with the steamer or a fogger.
Oh yeah, the computers. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, everything gets a little bit of film of water that actually is corrosive, and ours has already been tested as a non-corrosive electronically friendly product. That so when I go in and spray schools or facilities, you know, we get your keyboards and your monitors and all that, and not have to worry about the corrosion that happens. So we actually do jet airlines because that same thing. They want a non-corrosive solution, and ours is tested and certified for not being corrosive. And so that's kind of important too.
Yeah, again, I think that's another point that people, even for me, I wasn't even thinking about that aspect of it. But, you know, if you, I know that every child has their own computer that they're using in the classroom, and even school districts, it's hard for them to get grants for computers. And so, can you imagine spraying computers down with a very corrosive substance? How
Mhm.
quickly are those computers going to be damaged? And then schools are scrambling to find new computers or can't figure out what's wrong with the ones that they have. And so
Yep.
again, you know, I really appreciate you bringing this increased level of awareness and consciousness to this very important subject that we have for today. You know, again, how do we keep ourselves safe, not just from COVID, but all of the effects of that and the after effects of that. And so
Yes.
I want to thank you so much. Is there any way to contact you besides glandhealth.com?
It's the best way to contact us. Just go to glandhealth.com and there's a form you can fill out. You can also find us on all the social media platforms. They all kind of lead to me anyway, and so I'm very easy to find, especially here in San Diego. And we also are very responsive, and so if you fill out a form online and just want some information, we're not hard sell. We got a lot of business. We just want to take care of people as fast as possible. So you'll be notified within minutes, practically, of filling out our form and just saying, hey, I just want some information. We're happy to do a socially distanced introduction, or we actually will come out there all masked up and socially distanced apart, and be happy to do some type of demo and show you our products and services.
Yeah, thank you so much, everyone. Thank you. Please give a big, warm welcome and ending for Charles Vest of Gland Health, helping to keep us more safe than we were before with this new awareness and this new knowledge that we have now. And if you want to sign up for a naturally inspired video, if you want me to interview you, then go ahead and email me. It's radiantwisdomconsulting@gmail.com, or you can just message me in the comments or on Facebook. I'm pretty easy to get a hold of. So thank you very much, everyone, and you have a fantastic day.
Thank you. It's been an honor.
Let me